Finally. So Tropicana Field is most likely not going to be anymore. Now, the Tampa Bay Rays are looking for the money to finance a new stadium. Initially, it was going to be $1.3 billion dollars, and it was going to be and the city was going to basically fund this new stadium, and the designs of this looked really good, and I liked the concept, but it should never, 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 never come at the expense of taxpayers. I think the owner of the Rays is just should be ashamed of himself for even asking that, certainly after a hurricane. And even if there wasn't a hurricane, I'd still say no too. It is on you, the billionaire owners, to buy property, build it up, pay it back to the bank, and not ask the taxpayers to fund your toys. I mean, some of these residents don't even go to games, okay, in Tampa or St. Petersburg. They don't go to games. And and even there are New Yorkers who have never been to a Yankee game or a Mets game before. My cousin has never went to Shea, and he's never been to Citi Field, and he's only 3 years younger than me. And yeah, now he's in New Jersey, by the way. But is it still, but if he was living in New York, would it still be his job to pay, an extra 2% in sales tax for, to finance the Mets, Steve Cohen's stadium? No, it's not. No, it's not it's not his job to fund, Citi Field or Shea Stadium or wherever, or what's going to happen or whatever's stadium is going to be built up. It's not his job. And it, and it's certainly not the taxpayers of Tampa or St. Pete or the state of Florida to fund his project, to fund the project of the Rays. So, does that mean that the Rays relocate? Possibly. If they do relocate, would they go to Charlotte? Would they go to Nashville? Probably. One of those two cities would be on the short list, and Charlotte already has a AAA team. You can certainly build. You could certainly, you can build around it. You can build an upper deck around it too, and just make a very unique design out of it. And you already have the skyline in Charlotte too, and I think that would be an excellent Major League Stadium. And you can build extra outfield seating, and then just put the bullpens, you know, on the other sides of, you know, the foul poles out in the outfield beyond the stands. That could work too. But here's what I am suggesting. I'm suggesting that if a billionaire owner wants a new stadium, the billionaire owner has to build up that stadium. And here's a good solution that is good for both, the cities and states and easier on the billionaire's pocket. Take the Charlotte Knights Stadium. They have what is the best AAA baseball stadium, in the country. They do. You know, you can build up, you can make an upper deck, you can you can put in more outfield seating, and you can make, a couple layers of the upper decks and the middle decks, the middle deck and an upper deck. You can have two, you know, two extra layers of seating around in the outfield, and you can get to about 30,000 people. And if you need to, you can also build up, more upper deck seatings behind home plate and down the first and third base lines. You can certainly do that. And it would not necessarily cost you $1 billion. You already have the infrastructure ready to go. And, you have most of the infrastructure ready to go. And you can certainly build up around it too. And you can renovate the bathrooms and the facilities. within the stadium and the concessions and all of that. And it can really work too. And I think that's what the Rays should do. They should go to Charlotte, build up that stadium, and not ask the taxpayers to finance it. I would, if I was a billionaire owner, I would suggest doing that too, and building that up, and maybe the Knights become a a professional baseball team and not the AAA team, and I guess the AAA team could go to St. Petersburg. Let them let them inherit the dome at that point. Or they could just share the stadium too, and the AAA team could still play there, and you get more out of it. And since you're and, s- and since two teams are paying the rent will be easier on you as well. So that's another suggestion too. Um, and here's another thing that would make it easier on taxpayers and less money. Have your college teams play a few games there. Have special events for the NCAA baseball teams and just go ahead and let them play there. I mean, uh, I think the University of Texas Longhorns played at Minute Maid Park one year during the college baseball tournament, and uh, and that was pretty cool too. And I think that you need to start having those special events ready to go in that for that too. And maybe you can get some minor league, maybe if it ever came down to it, you could put some minor league teams in there and play there. If to help pay your rent. So just a suggestion too. Of course. That's if it ever came down to it too. And you shouldn't, and I mean, $1 billion for only one team to essentially play there just makes no sense. You need to have more events. You should have multiple teams playing there at that point, whether they're NCAA, minor league, or major league. You know, you know, cut the costs, let some teams pick up some of the rent, and you don't have to ask the taxpayers to fund your operations. So that'll do it for this video. With that being said, take care. Peace.